Welcome. In this video, I want to talk about compressing Excel spreadsheet data. And I have this data, and I'm actually using LibreOffice, but this pertains to the data in general. Mostly will pertain to Excel because Excel will be the most popular spreadsheet program most people use. So I downloaded some data from the internet. It's this 50,000 sales records. And there's all sorts of data in here. There's duplicated data, like you see it has Europe here 4 times in a row. And then this says offline or online. And then you have some dates here. And then you have this kind of random data, these numbers. And I don't know how many columns this has, quite a few. So this is kind of like a standard spreadsheet you might see. And it has 50,000 records, supposedly. I haven't looked down yet. So we have 50,000 records. So I'm going to close this here. So what I did is I saved this out in different formats and used some different utilities to shrink this data down. And I want to go over my findings on that. So I downloaded this data as a CSV file, which is comma separated values. And that would be this file here. And then I pulled it into LibreOffice and saved it as an XLS. So all these files here are sorted by the size. So the largest size I had was an XLS file, and that was 9.7 megabytes. And the raw CSV file was 6.2 megabytes. And then I saved it as ODS, which is the LibreOffice native format, and that was 4.4 megabytes. So that has dropped it quite a bit, down half from this XLS. And then we have XLSX, which is Office Open File Format, which is the standard that Microsoft Office uses now. So XLSX is kind of the newest format of XLS. And then the ODS and the XLSX are both zip formats. So I have a terminal up here, and if I type zip info and then the name of the file, you can look inside of these files and you can see the parts that make up the XLSX file. And we can do the same thing for ODS. And you can see the different components that make up the ODS file because these are actually zip files. So what we can do, since those are zip files, is we can run a utility. And I've used this utility in previous videos. There's a package called advzip, and you can install that on the Mac using Mac ports. And to do that, you type in sudo space port space install space advanced comp. So it's like advanced compression, but it's advanced comp. There's no D in. It's not like advanced. But you install that, and you have these tools. If I type ADV tab, you'll see these tools. You have ADV def, ADV MNG, ADV PNG, and ADV zip. So we can run ADV zip, and then we can type space dash Z4, and this would be the highest compression level. And we can type the name of the file, and then run that, and that will squeeze that file down a little bit. So what I have after the I have the ODS and the XLSX. I have the underscore ADV zip ODS. So this is the one that was shrunk down. So we took this file, ran it through ADV zip, and we took off 0.4 megabytes. And then we did the same with the Excel, and that took off, looks like 0.6 megabytes of size. So that would be this one right here. And I'll come back to this one. So, okay, so what this zip file is, this is the zipped up version of this XLS file. So if we take in XLS, we zip it, we have this at 3.5 megabytes. And then this is, if we take our ADV zipped version of the XLSX file and run it through XZ compressor, that drops it down 0.2 megabytes. And then if we take our original 9 megabyte or almost 10 megabyte XLS and run it through XZ, that gets it down to 2.1. And this last one is if we take the CSV, the raw data, and we run it through XZ, and that gets us down to 1.4. So the smallest file here is this 1.4 megabyte version. That is the CSV file run through XZ, and that made it so the biggest was 9.7, the smallest was 1.4. So the question is, which one do you choose? So actually, I put a little red dot here. I'll put 2 red dots here. So based on this data, you would probably want to save as an XLS file here, and then you would, if you want something, if you were going to send something out to, say, 10,000 people, say it's a financial report that needs to go to shareholders or something, and you want this thing as small as you possibly can, but you want it easy to open, then you could save it as XLSX and run it through ADV zip, and you'll cut it down, a little bit. It's 0.6 megabytes. Now, if you take 0.6 megabytes times a lot of people downloading it, that makes it the smallest. You could also zip it here. The zip, since the XLSX is a zip, technically, and the zip is a zip, this drops at 0.1 megabytes. I don't think I would zip up an XLS into a zip file and send that out because it's only slightly smaller than the XLSX file, and a person could open that file directly. And then the XZ, I was just doing that for comparison. I don't think I would use that format because a lot of people won't have that compression utility. Now, if you were sending something to someone in a country country and they're on a modem link or something, you might want to just pull out the raw CSV data to do that, or you can take the XLS and use XZ to zip that. That was a pretty small file. And if a person has the XZ utility, they can uncompress this and they'll have an Excel file. But certainly if you only have raw data, the CSV compressed with XZ is the smallest, and that might be a good way to archive it. But if you're saving it as a CSV, you'll lose any formulas or macros or anything you might have in the file that might be necessary. So I would say, generally speaking, I would use the XLSX file, and then if you wanted to shrink it down, use the advzip to shrink it down a little bit smaller. And these files are just data. I know you can have formulas and you can have images, and different compression things and formats might work differently with different formats, but this is a basic thing. You can always do a test yourself to see how to make the smallest file. I mean, obviously if you're dealing with one file, it may not be a big deal, but like I say, if you're sending it to a lot of people or you're looking for a storage standard, this is some data or some tests you can even perform yourself to see what to look at. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate if you could do that, and thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.